You check your banking app. You don't do it consciously. It's a reflex. A muscle memory twitch in your thumb while you're waiting for the coffee to brew, or sitting in traffic, or lying in bed when you should be sleeping. You tap the icon. Face ID scans your tired eyes. The little loading circle spins, and there it is, the number. It's not zero. You aren't destitute. You aren't starving. But it's not enough to breathe either. It's that specific, suffocating amount that sits right in the middle. The average. And you feel it. You feel that familiar cocktail of mild panic and dull resignation. You do the mental math instantly. You subtract the rent that's coming out on the first. You subtract the car payment. You subtract the credit card minimum. And you realize, for the 100th month in a row, that you have exactly enough to survive, but not enough to live. This is the sweet spot of your addiction. You think you hate this feeling. You tell your friends you hate being broke. You complain about the economy. You complain about inflation. You tell yourself that if you just made an extra 5,000, an extra 10,000, everything would change. You fantasize about the freedom. You look at the prices on menus and imagine a version of yourself that doesn't look at the right side of the page first. But that's a lie. Because if you truly hated this feeling of being financially average, you wouldn't work so hard to maintain it. Let's look at the pattern, really look at it. Think about 3 months ago. You got that unexpected bit of money. Maybe it was a tax return. Maybe it was a bonus. Maybe you sold something. Suddenly, the balance in that app jumped. You were $2,000 above your baseline. You were up. And what happened? Within 48 hours, the check engine light came on. Or you suddenly decided you needed that new phone because the battery on your old one was acting weird. Or you treated everyone to dinner because you deserved it. Or you remembered a bill you forgot to pay. And just like that, the money was gone. You didn't invest it. You didn't lock it away. You burned it. You incinerated it with a terrifying efficiency. And when the dust settled, where did you land? Right back at the number. Right back at that suffocating, comfortable average. You looked at your bank account after the emergency passed, and you felt something sick. You felt relief. That is the addiction. You are not addicted to money. You are addicted to the equilibrium of the struggle. You are addicted to the adrenaline of the scrape. When you have too much money, your nervous system starts to panic. It feels foreign. It feels unsafe. Wealth is the unknown wilderness. Average is your cage. And even though the cage is small, even though the bars are cold, you know exactly where the corners are. You know how to navigate the stress of just enough. You've built your entire identity around it. You are the person who gets by. You are the person who hustles. You are the person who survives. If you took away the struggle, who would you be? You wouldn't be the underdog anymore. You wouldn't be the victim of the system. You just be you, and that is terrifying. So you keep yourself here. You sabotage your own growth with a precision that would be impressive if it wasn't so tragic. You engage in what feels like bad luck, but is actually a subconscious homing beacon for mediocrity. You walk through the mall, you see the things you want, you see the life you claim you're working toward, and a voice in your head whispers, "Not for me." It's not a sad voice, it's a factual voice, it's a protective voice. It says, that is for other people, rich people, lucky people, different people. You are average, you stay here. And you listen. You pick up the generic brand not because you have to, but because it matches your self-image. You skip the investment opportunity not because it's risky, but because success would disrupt your narrative. You stay in the job that pays you exactly what you need to survive, avoiding the promotion that would demand you to thrive. You are running a script titled Financially Average. And every time reality tries to rewrite the ending, every time wealth tries to enter your life, you edit it back out. You think you're fighting to get rich, but your actions prove you are fighting to stay exactly where you are. The pain you feel when you look at that bank app, that tightness in your chest, that isn't anxiety. That is a withdrawal symptom. That is your body craving the dopamine hit of solving a survival problem. You keep creating financial fires just so you can feel the rush of putting them out. You are a firefighter who is also the arsonist. And until you admit that you are holding the matches, until you admit that this average life is a drug you are actively dosing yourself with every single day, nothing will change. The economy won't save you. A raise won't save you. The lottery won't save you. Because if you gave a drug addict $1 million worth of heroin, they wouldn't get clean. They would just overdose. And if the universe gave you $1 million today, right now, without you fixing this addiction to mediocrity, you would be broke again in 3 years. You would find a way to burn it all down just to get back to the safety of the number. You don't have a money problem, you have a thermostat problem. And right now, your internal thermostat is set to average, and the heat is kicking on to make sure you stay there. It happens in the dark. It happens in the split second between stimulus and response. You think your financial life is a series of random events, a chaotic tumbling of dice where you just happen to roll snake eyes over and over again. But if you slowed the footage down, frame by frame, you would see the hand. You would see your hand. You would see the moment you reached out and tipped the dice over. This is the sabotage protocol. It is a silent, automated script running in your brainstem, designed to execute the moment you threaten to cross the line from average to wealthy. It is the immune system of your mediocrity, hunting down success like it's a virus. Look at how it plays out in your career. You're in a meeting, or you're on a call with a potential client. You know you're worth more. You've done the research. You've seen the market rates. You promised yourself in the mirror this morning that you were going to ask for the number that scares you. You rehearsed it. My rate is 5,000. You said it to the steering wheel on the way over. Then the moment comes. They ask, so, what are we looking at cost-wise? And the protocol takes over. Your throat tightens, your heart rate spikes. A wave of irrational guilt washes over you. You look at their face and you imagine their rejection. You imagine them laughing. You imagine the awkward silence. So you sabotage. Well, usually it's 5,000. You hear yourself say, your voice rising an octave. But since we're just starting out, and I really like this project, I could probably make it work for 3. You didn't just lose $2,000. You paid $2,000 for the privilege of remaining small. You paid a premium to keep your identity as the struggling creative or the undervalued employee intact. You walk out of that meeting feeling relieved. You got the yes, but you got the yes that keeps you average. You avoided the no that might have led to the yes that would change your life. Now look at how the protocol handles a windfall. Let's say you accidentally succeed. You close a big deal. You get a massive tax refund. You have $5,000 of extra money sitting in your checking account. It's unallocated. It's free. Watch what happens to your car. You've been ignoring that rattle in the engine for 6 months. You've been driving on bald tires since last winter. You ignored it when you were broke because you had to. But now that the money is there, suddenly the radiator blows. You tell your friends, I can't believe my bad luck. As soon as I get ahead, something breaks. Pause, look at the timeline. The car didn't break because you got money. The car broke because you neglected it when you were broke, and your subconscious waited. It waited until the exact moment you had the funds to fix it to let the catastrophe happen. You timed the crisis. You stored up the entropy, saving it like a battery, so you could deploy it the moment your bank account looked too healthy. You used the car to drain the account. You use the repair bill to restore equilibrium. You paid the mechanic to lower your thermostat back to average. And then there's the education loop. This is the sneakiest part of the protocol. You have an idea, a way to make money, a side hustle, a business. You are excited. But instead of selling, you learn. You buy a course. You buy a book. You spend 3 weeks designing a logo for a company that has 0 customers. You spend 4 hours researching which email marketing software is the best, comparing features you don't need for a list you haven't built. You feel productive. You feel like you are moving toward wealth. But you are hiding from it. The protocol knows that as long as you are preparing, you are not doing. As long as you are in research mode, you are safe from the possibility of failure, but you are also safe from the danger of success. You are burning time and energy spinning your wheels, creating the illusion of velocity while the car sits up on blocks. You tell yourself, I just need to know a little bit more before I start. That is the addiction talking. That is the voice of average, begging you not to risk the status quo. You are using learning as a procrastination drug. You are overdosing on information to avoid the reality of execution. Because execution leads to results, and results might make you rich. And if you get rich, you lose your membership card to the club of the complaining masses. So you execute the protocol. You undercharge. You defer maintenance until it becomes a catastrophe. You research until the opportunity dies. You are not unlucky. You are a sniper, and the target is your own potential. Think about the last time you felt truly calm about money. Not happy, not excited, calm. Was it when you had a savings account full of cash? Was it when you had 0 debt? Or was it when you were broke, but you had a plan? Be honest. There is a twisted, paradoxical serenity in the crisis. When your back is against the wall, when the rent is due in 3 days and you don't have it, when you are scrambling, hustling, panicking, you are laser-focused. The world narrows down to a single point. You have a clear mission: survive. Your brain loves this. It loves the clarity of the emergency. It dumps cortisol and adrenaline into your blood. You feel alive. You feel necessary. You are the protagonist in a high-stakes drama. Now compare that to the feeling of stability. When the bills are paid and there's money left over and there is no crisis, what happens? You feel restless. You feel a low-level hum of anxiety. You check your phone. You wander around the house. You pick a fight with your partner. You start to feel bored. And this is the diagnosis. You are chemically dependent on financial stress. You treat financial stability like it's a waiting room. You sit there, tapping your foot, waiting for the doctor to come out and tell you something is wrong. You don't know how to just be in the waiting room. You don't know how to relax. So, eventually, you set the waiting room on fire just to have something to do. This isn't about being bad with money. This is about homeostasis. Your body has a set point for stress. If you grew up in a household where money was always tight, where parents fought about bills, where we can't afford it was the mantra, your nervous system calibrated to that environment. You learned that stress equals normal. You learned that scarcity equals safety. So when you achieve abundance, your body registers it as a threat. It sounds insane, but to your primal brain, peace is dangerous. In the wild, if things were too quiet, it meant a predator was stalking you. If you were too comfortable, you got eaten. So when your bank account grows, your amygdala, the lizard brain responsible for fear, starts screaming. It says, "This is wrong. We are too exposed. We are too visible. We need to get back to the cave. We need to get back to the struggle." And you obey. You find a way to induce the stress you crave. You lose the receipt. You forget the password. You ignore the IRS letter. You lend money to the friend who never pays you back. You make the impulse purchase that puts you back in the red. And when you see that balance drop, when you feel that familiar knot in your stomach return, you exhale. Ah, your brain says, here we are, the struggle. I know this place. I know how to survive this. You have addicted yourself to the cycle of boom and bust. You are a junkie for your own rescue fantasies. You love the feeling of saving yourself from a disaster that you created. It's the Phoenix complex. You love rising from the ashes so much that you keep burning your own house down just to show off how good you are at flying out of the smoke. But you can't build wealth in the ashes. You can't build a legacy while you're putting out fires. Wealth requires boredom. Real, sustainable wealth is incredibly boring. It is compound interest. It is automated savings. It is waiting 10 years. It is slow, unsexy, quiet growth. And you hate boring. You hate quiet. You mistake volatility for living. You mistake drama for meaning. And this addiction is what keeps you average. Average people have money drama. Average people have unexpected expenses. Average people are always getting by. Rich people, truly rich people, not the ones flashing leased cars on Instagram, are bored. Their money is boring. Their systems are boring. They have detoxed from the need for financial adrenaline. You are looking at your bank account and seeing numbers, but you need to look at it and see a dopamine chart. Every dip is a hit. Every overdraft is a spike. You aren't suffering from poverty. You are suffering from a withdrawal from peace. You are terrified of who you would be if you didn't have money problems to distract you. If you didn't have to worry about rent, what would you have to worry about? Your purpose, your relationships, your mortality. The struggle is a shield. It protects you from the bigger, scarier questions. As long as you are fighting for survival, you don't have to fight for meaning. And that is why you stay average, because average is the perfect distraction. There is a mechanism in your house right now that explains your entire financial life. It's on the wall. It's a small, plastic box. The thermostat. You set it to 72 degrees. If the room drops to 68, the heater kicks on. It works hard. It burns energy. It fights the cold until the temperature hits 72. But here is the part you ignore. If the room gets to 76, the heater doesn't just stop. The AC kicks on. The system works just as hard to cool the room down as it did to heat it up. It views too hot as just as dangerous as too cold. Its only goal is 72. You have an internal financial thermostat, and yours is set to average. Psychologist Gay Hendricks calls this the upper limit problem. In his work, The Big Leap, he identified a fatal flaw in human psychology. We have a limited tolerance for things going well. We have an internal capacity for abundance, love, and success. And when we exceed that capacity, when we break through our upper limit, we don't celebrate. We self-destruct. We unconsciously manufacture a crisis to bring us back down to the temperature we think we deserve. Think about the best month of your life. Maybe you hit a sales record. Maybe you got a massive raise. Maybe you launched a project and it exploded. You were soaring. You were at 80 degrees. What happened in the 48 hours immediately following that victory? Did you get sick? Did you get a migraine? Did you pick a fight with your partner over something completely trivial, like the way they loaded the dishwasher? Did you suddenly feel a wave of depression or anxiety that made no sense? That was your AC kicking on. You exceeded your upper limit. Your subconscious mind looked at the abundance and said, "System warning. This is too much good. This is unfamiliar. We are leaving the safe zone. Initiate cooling protocol." So you picked the fight to ruin the mood. You lowered the emotional temperature back to the average, level of mild frustration you are used to. Or you got sick, so you couldn't enjoy the success. You forced yourself back into a state of weakness to offset the power you just gained. Or you started worrying. This is the most common cooling mechanism, the worry loop. Everything is perfect. Money is in the bank, the bills are paid, and you are lying in bed staring at the ceiling thinking, what am I missing? Something is going to go wrong. It's too quiet. You start scanning the horizon for threats that don't exist. You invent tax problems in your head. You replay a conversation from 3 years ago. You convince yourself your boss actually hates you. Why? Because worry is your 72 degrees. Worry is your home base. If you aren't worrying, you don't feel like you. So when the external world stops giving you things to worry about, you manufacture them internally to restore your baseline state of anxiety. You are allergic to your own potential. Hendricks argues that this limit is often set in childhood. If you outshone a sibling and were told to be humble, you lowered your thermostat. If you made money and your parents made a snide comment about greedy rich people, you lowered your thermostat. You learned that being too much caused pain or rejection. So now, as an adult, you regulate yourself. You get the bonus, and immediately you feel the urge to spend it. Not because you need things, but because getting rid of the money relieves the pressure of the upper limit. You are flushing the success out of your system so you can return to the familiar comfort of getting by. You are looking for financial strategies, but you are running a software that deletes wealth the moment it arrives. You could win $10 million tomorrow, and your upper limit mechanism would work tirelessly day and night to lose it, spend it, or give it away, until you were back to the exact level of financial mediocrity you feel you deserve. You don't need a budget. You need to reset the temperature. You need to realize that the anxiety you feel when things are going well isn't a warning sign of impending doom. It is the growing pain of expanding your capacity. But you don't treat it like growing pains. You treat it like a fever, and you take the medicine, spending, sabotaging, fighting, to cure yourself of the sickness of success. You are literally cooling yourself down every time you start to catch fire. Here is the hardest pill you will ever have to swallow. You don't stay financially average because you are trapped. You stay because it serves you. There is a secret, shadow payoff to your mediocrity. There is a transactional utility to being just okay. And deep down, in the darkest basement of your subconscious, you know exactly what it is. It is the luxury of the excuse. As long as you are average, as long as funds are tight, as long as you are struggling, you never have to face the terrifying reality of your own potential. Money removes your excuses. That is why it scares you. Imagine for a second that you have unlimited resources. You have the capital, you have the time, you have the best equipment, you have the team, you have everything you claimed was holding you back. And then you fail. You launch the business and nobody buys. You write the book and nobody reads it. You make the art and it's bad. If you are rich, you have nowhere to hide. You can't blame the economy. You can't blame the lack of funding. You can't blame your situation. If you have every advantage and you still lose, there is only one conclusion left. You just aren't good enough. That thought is ego death. That thought is a psychological nuclear bomb. But as long as you stay average, as long as you stay underfunded, you are safe. You can say, well, I could have made it if I just had the startup capital. You can say, I would be in great shape if I could afford that fancy gym and a personal chef. You can say, I would be happy if I didn't have to work this soul-sucking job. Your lack of money is the perfect, bulletproof shield for your ego. It protects you from the judgment of your own inadequacy. You get to live in the fantasy of potential without ever having to face the brutality of performance. You are addicted to being financially average because it allows you to remain the hypothetical hero of your own life rather than the proven failure. And there is another payoff, a darker one: invisibility. We tell ourselves we want to be seen, we want to be successful, but biologically, we want to hide. The tall poppy gets cut, the rich man gets sued, the successful woman gets critiqued. When you are average, you are camouflaged. You blend into the herd. No one expects anything from you. Think about the pressure of wealth, real wealth. If you have money, people ask for it. Friends need loans. Family members need help. Charities call. The world knocks on your door with its hand out. And you have to learn a terrible, difficult skill. You have to learn to say no. You have to look someone in the eye and say, I have the power to fix your problem, but I am choosing not to. That requires boundaries of steel. That requires being willing to be the villain in someone else's story. But when you are average, you don't have to say no. You get to say, I can't. Oh man, I'd love to help you out, but things are so tight right now. I'm broke too. Do you feel that? That's relief. That's the payoff. Your lack of money makes the decision for you. It absolves you of the responsibility of power. You get to be the good guy who would help if only the cruel world would let him. You get to keep your nice guy identity intact. Money forces you to set internal boundaries. Poverty provides external ones, and you are terrified of the work involved in building those internal walls. You would rather be broke than be the bad guy. So you keep yourself in the demographic of the unable. You cling to the status of the struggling. Because the moment you cross over into abundance, you lose the safety of circumstance. You have to stand naked in the wind of expectation. You aren't a victim of the system. You are a volunteer. You are volunteering for the position of average because the benefits package includes zero accountability and automatic sympathy. You trade your freedom for the right to complain, and for your ego, that is a hell of a bargain. You are casting spells on yourself every single day. You don't call them spells. You call them thoughts. You call them reality. But make no mistake, the language you use to describe your finances is a magic ritual designed to keep your bank account small. This is the poverty of language. It starts with the phrase you use most often: I can't afford it. Say it out loud. Feel the resignation in it. I can't. It is a definitive statement. It is a closed door. When you say, I can't afford it, your brain stops working. It shuts down the problem-solving center. It files the desire under impossible and goes to sleep. It is a passive acceptance of defeat. Rich people, people with a wealth mind, never say this phrase, even when they have $0 in the bank. They replace the statement with a question: how can I afford it? The difference is only one word, but the neurological shift is violent. I can't afford it is a period. How can I afford it is a question mark. It is a hook. It forces your brain to wake up. It demands a solution. It sends your subconscious on a scavenger hunt for resources. What can I sell? Who can I partner with? What skill can I leverage? Where is the money hiding? When you say, I can't, you are the victim. When you say, how, you are the architect. But you are addicted to the I can't because it requires zero energy. It lets you off the hook. Then there is the toxicity of must be nice. You see someone in a nice car. You see a friend on a vacation. And you mutter, must be nice. That phrase is poison. Must be nice implies that their success happened to them. It implies luck. It implies that the universe handed them a cookie and skipped you. It dismisses their work, their risk, and their sacrifice. But more importantly, it positions you as the observer, the audience. They are the players on the field. You are the guy in the cheap seats eating popcorn. Every time you say must be nice, you are reinforcing the wall between you and success. You are telling your subconscious that life belongs to them, not us. You are alienating yourself from the very thing you want. And finally, there is the language of expensive. That's too expensive. Expensive compared to what? To an average person, a $2,000 course is expensive. To a wealthy person, a $2,000 course that teaches them how to make $20,000 is cheap. It's practically free. You focus on the cost. Wealthy people focus on the value. You look at the price tag and see the pain of losing money. They look at the price tag and see the potential of gaining leverage. You are trapped in the cost mindset. You judge every transaction by what leaves your pocket, never by what enters your life. I can't hire a cleaner. It's $150 a week. That's expensive. So instead, you spend 5 hours of your Saturday scrubbing toilets. You value your time at $0 an hour. You just told the universe, my life is worth nothing. My time is trash. I will trade 5 hours of my finite existence to save $150. That is the language of poverty. You are telling yourself you are worthless every time you choose to save pennies by spending hours. You are prioritizing the currency of money over the currency of life. Your internal dialogue is a continuous loop of devaluation. You talk yourself out of opportunities. You talk yourself into scarcity. You describe the world as a place where things are too hard, too much, or not for me. Words are the software code of your reality, and you are coding a glitch into the system. You are programming your own limitation. If you recorded your thoughts about money for 24 hours and played them back, you would hear a person who is terrified of power. You would hear a person who is begging to stay small. Change the script. Stop saying I can't. Stop saying must be nice. Stop saying it's too expensive. Start asking how. Start saying good for them now me. Start asking is it worth it? Until you change the language, you will never change the balance. Because you cannot build a mansion using blueprints drawn for a prison cell. There is an ancient, bloody fear buried in your DNA. It is older than money. It is older than language. It is the fear of exile. 30,000 years ago, if you were kicked out of the tribe, you didn't just get lonely. You died. You starved or the wolves got you. Belonging was survival. Being the same as everyone else was the only safety. Now look at your friends. Look at your family. They are your tribe, and statistically they are probably financially average. They complain about work. They bond over being broke. They validate each other's struggles. I know, right? Inflation is crazy. Yeah, my boss is a jerk too. This is the glue that holds your social circle together. Shared suffering. Now imagine you get rich, truly rich. Imagine you stop complaining. Imagine you start talking about investments or travel or the business you just sold. Imagine you pull up in a car that costs more than their house. What happens to the glue? It dissolves. You feel the distance instantly. You see the look in their eyes. It's not happiness. It's suspicion. It's judgment. He's changed. She thinks she's better than us now. He forgot where he came from. This is the tribal fear, and it is the single strongest force keeping you poor. Your subconscious mind runs a terrifying calculation. If I become wealthy, I will lose the people I love. And because you are a social primate, your brain chooses love, or at least belonging, over money every single time. You self-sabotage to stay relatable. You stay broke so you can keep your seat at the table. You are paying a social tax to remain part of the group. You tone down your ambition when you talk to your parents because you don't want to make them feel inadequate. You hide your wins from your friends because you don't want to make them jealous. You participate in the ain't it awful conversations just to fit in. You are literally dimming your light so it doesn't hurt their eyes. And the tragedy is, you're probably right. If you get rich, you will lose people. That is the cost of admission. Some friends won't be able to handle it. Your success will hold up a mirror to their stagnation, and they will hate you for it. Your family might start acting weird, treating you like an ATM or a stranger. The dynamic will shift. You are currently choosing the comfort of a stagnant tribe over the loneliness of growth. You are terrified of the crab bucket. You know the analogy. If you put one crab in a bucket, it can climb out. If you put a bunch in, they will pull down the one who tries to escape. You are in the bucket, and you are feeling the claws on your ankles. But here is the twist. You aren't just the crab trying to climb out. You are also the crab pulling yourself back down. You pull yourself down before they can do it. You preemptively fail so they don't have to attack you. You stay average so you don't trigger the tribe's defense mechanism. You are sacrificing your future to protect their feelings. Think about how sick that is. You are staying in a financial prison just so your friends don't feel bad about their own selves. You have to make a choice, and it is a binary choice. Choice A, you stay average. You keep your friends. You keep the peace. You get to complain together at the bar every Friday night for the next 40 years until you die in the same zip code. Choice B, you climb out. You get rich. You get free. And you accept that you might have to walk alone for a while. You accept that you will have to find a new tribe, a tribe of people who are climbing, not pulling. You are waiting for permission to leave the tribe. You are waiting for them to say, "Go ahead, we support you." They never will. The tribe protects the tribe. The tribe protects the average. If you want to leave, you have to be willing to be the exile. You have to be willing to be the bad guy who left the village. Wealth is an act of rebellion against your social conditioning. It is a declaration of independence from the expectations of the people who raised you and the people who know you. As long as you value fitting in more than breaking out, you will always find a way to lose money, because money makes you stand out. And to your lizard brain, standing out equals death. You have to teach your brain a new truth. It is safe to be separate. Until you do that, you will always drag yourself back down to the level of your lowest earning friend. Here is the most dangerous story you tell yourself. It is the story that keeps you warm at night while you stare at the ceiling, worrying about the rent. It is the myth of the noble victim. You have convinced yourself that there is a direct correlation between your bank account and your soul. You believe that because you have less money, you have more virtue. Rich people are greedy. Rich people are corrupt. Rich people are shallow. Therefore, by simple logic, if you are not rich, you must be generous. You must be honest. You must be deep. This is your victimhood shield, and it is made of solid steel. You use it to deflect the pain of your own stagnation. When you see someone driving a Bentley, you don't think, "Wow, they figured out the game." You think, "Asshole, probably inherited it, probably screwed someone over." Do you feel that? That little spike of righteousness, that is dopamine. You are getting high on your own judgment. You are using moral superiority as a painkiller for your financial mediocrity. You tear them down to build yourself up. You sit on your throne of average and look down on the people who have surpassed you, telling yourself that their success cost them their humanity. But here is the uncomfortable truth. You don't hate the rich. You hate that you aren't one of them. And you are terrified that if you did get rich, you would reveal your true nature. Money is not good or bad. Money is a magnifier. If you are a generous person, money makes you a philanthropist. If you are a jerk, money makes you a tyrant. But you use the money as evil, script to avoid finding out who you really are. You cling to the system is rigged narrative. The economy is broken. The game is unfair. Capitalism is exploitive. Listen to me. You are right. The system is rigged. The game is unfair. It is harder now than it was for your parents. But you aren't using that fact as a battle cry. You are using it as a doctor's note. You are waving the unfair system flag to excuse yourself from the battlefield. You say, well, the game is fixed, so why try? That is the addiction. You are addicted to the helplessness. Because if you are a victim, nothing is your fault. If you are a victim, you don't have to change. If you are a victim, the world owes you an apology. It is the ultimate position of safety. As a victim, you have zero power, but you also have zero responsibility. You get to be the tragic hero in a movie that never ends. You say things like, I'd rather be happy than rich. Stop. Who told you that you had to choose? Who told you that misery is the price of wealth? I'll tell you who: poor people, average people, people who needed a justification for why they gave up. They created a false dichotomy to make themselves feel better. They taught you that money and happiness are enemies, so that every time you failed to make money, you could tell yourself you were choosing happiness. But look at your life. Be honest. Are you happy? Is the stress of unpaid bills making you happy? Is the inability to travel making you happy? Is the constant low-level panic about the future making you happy? No, you are broke and unhappy. You lost both sides of the coin. But you keep holding up the shield. At least I'm not a sellout. At least I'm not one of them. You are using integrity as a mask for fear. You are using morality as a mask for incompetence. You aren't staying average because you are a good person. You are staying average because you are afraid to play the game. And as long as you demonize money, your brain will repel it. Your subconscious mind is a dutiful servant. If you tell it, rich people are evil, it will say, understood. I will make sure we never become evil. I will sabotage every opportunity for wealth to protect your moral identity. You are literally paying for your goodness with your poverty. Drop the shield. Admit that you want it. Admit that you want the car, the house, the freedom, the power. Admit that you are tired of being the noble martyr. There is no nobility in suffering that you chose. There is no honor in a struggle that you could end. You are not a victim of the system. You are a volunteer in the army of the average, and your uniform is your excuses. You are scrolling. It's late. The blue light is bathing your face in a ghostly pallor, and you stop. You see a post. It's an old friend, or a colleague, or maybe just some random kid on the internet who is 10 years younger than you. And they made it. They are holding the check. They are signing the deed. They are launching the product. They are smiling that smile, the smile of someone who has escaped gravity. And you feel it. It starts in your stomach, a cold, heavy stone. Then it moves to your throat. It burns. It is a mixture of nausea and rage. You want to click away. You want to block them. You want to find a flaw in the picture to tear them down. He looks tired. She's just showing off. It's a scam. But pause. Don't look away. Look at that feeling. Stare directly into the acid bath of your own jealousy. Because that envy, that is the only honest emotion you have felt all week. That envy is not a sin. It is a map. It is your soul screaming at you, pointing a trembling finger at the screen and saying, THAT. I want that. That is supposed to be mine. You don't hate them. You hate yourself. You hate them because they are a living, breathing reflection of what you were too cowardly to do. They are the ghost of your potential. They are walking around in the life you visualized but never capitalized on. They had the same 24 hours. They had the same internet. They might have even had less talent than you. But they didn't have your addiction to comfort. They didn't have your addiction to being average. And this is the part where we turn the mirror around. Stop looking at them. Look at you. Why are you here? Why are you in this room? With this bank balance, with this anxiety? You want to say it's the economy. You want to say it's your boss. You want to say it's your bad luck. But if we put a camera in your house for the last 5 years, what would we see? We would see the hours you spent scrolling instead of building. We would see the weekends you spent recovering instead of creating. We would see the money you spent on temporary dopamine hits, the takeout, the gadgets, the subscriptions, instead of assets. We would see the 1,000 tiny choices you made to choose, easy over hard. You are not stuck. You are committed. You are aggressively, relentlessly committed to your own mediocrity. You wake up every morning and vote for it. You vote for it when you hit snooze. That is a vote for average. You vote for it when you do the bare minimum at work to not get fired. That is a vote for average. You vote for it when you say, I'll start on Monday. You have built this cage bar by bar. You forged the lock. You swallowed the key. And you keep doing it because you prefer the known pain of average to the unknown pain of greatness. You prefer the dull ache of poverty to the sharp burn of failure. Imagine your life 10 years from now. It is 2036. You are 10 years older. You are tireder. The world has moved on. The economy has shifted. And you are sitting in the exact same spot. You have the exact same complaints. You are making the exact same amount of money, which is now worth half as much. You are still looking at other people's lives through a screen, feeling that same cold stone in your stomach. But now it's not just envy, it's regret. It is a calcified, permanent bitterness. Does that scare you? It should. It should terrify you more than any horror movie. Because that is the default setting. That is where the escalator is going. If you do nothing, if you just keep going with the flow, that is your destination. The flow leads to the sewer. You are waiting for a savior. You are waiting for the break. You are waiting for the moment when it suddenly gets easier. It never gets easier. You just get older. You have to look in the mirror and admit the crime. You are the one holding yourself back. You are the saboteur. You are the one who sets the thermostat to 72 degrees. You aren't a victim of circumstances. You are a victim of your own tolerance. You tolerate this. You tolerate the stress. You tolerate the lack of options. You tolerate the mediocrity. And as long as you tolerate it, you will keep it. You get what you tolerate. So look at that person on the screen again, the one winning. Don't hate them, thank them. They are showing you what is possible when you stop addicted yourself to the drug of average. They are showing you that the cage door is open. But you have to be the one to walk out. This video is about to end. And when it does, you are going to face the most dangerous moment of your entire life. The next 5 minutes. Because right now you are high. You are high on the inside. You feel understood. You feel exposed. You feel a surge of motivation because you finally have a name for the disease. I have an upper limit problem. I have a poverty mindset. And your brain is already trying to trick you. It is telling you that watching this video was the work. It is telling you that understanding the addiction is the same as breaking it. It is not. Understanding is just the diagnosis. It is not the cure. You can stare at an X-ray of a broken bone all day, but unless you reset the bone, you will never walk again. So here is your binary choice, and there is no third option. Option A, the anesthesia. You click off this video, you scroll down to the comments, you write something like, "Wow, this hit home." You get a few likes, you feel good. Then you go to the kitchen, you make a sandwich, you check your email, and the numbness returns. The average wraps its warm, suffocating arms around you again. You go back to your job. You go back to your friends who complain about gas prices. You go back to the "I can't afford it" mantra. And you forget. You forget the sting of the truth. You forget the fear of the cage. And you will die there. You will die in the cage of just enough. You will die with your music still inside you, having played only the notes that were safe. You will leave behind a legacy of "he was a nice guy who didn't cause any trouble." That is the default setting. That is what will happen if you do nothing. Option B, the thermostat reset. This is the violent option. This is the painful option. You decide right now, in this second, that you are allergic to average. You decide that comfort is not a goal, it is a threat. How do you do it? You have to manually override the system. 1. The 30-day silence. Stop complaining. Cold turkey. For the next 30 days, you're not allowed to say a single negative thing about money, work, or the economy. If you catch yourself saying, "It's too expensive," you stop mid-sentence. You bite your tongue until it bleeds. You are detoxing your brain from the language of poverty. If you can't speak the old spells, you can't create the old reality. 2. Sit in the heat. The next time something goes well, you get a check, you get a win, and you feel that urge to sabotage, that urge to spend or worry or fight. Freeze. Do nothing. Sit in the anxiety. Let your heart race. Let your brain scream that it's unsafe. Do not cool the room down. Hold the money. Hold the success. Stare at it. Force your nervous system to acclimatize to the new temperature. You are expanding your capacity for abundance by refusing to release the pressure. 3. Kill the noble victim. Go to the mirror. Look yourself in the eye. Say it out loud. I am not poor because I am good. I am poor because I am scared. Destroy the moral high ground. Admit you want power. Admit you want wealth. Strip away the good person excuse so that the only thing left is your performance. 4. Burn the lifeboats. You need to make average painful. Right now, being broke is annoying, but it's bearable. You need to make it unbearable. Set a deadline. Make a bet. Commit to an expense that terrifies you, an investment in yourself that forces you to earn more to cover it. Throw your hat over the wall, so you have to climb it to get it back. As long as you have a safety net, you will sleep in it. Cut the net. This is not about hustle culture. This is about survival culture. Your soul is dying in the middle. The average is eating you alive, one day at a time. It is a slow, gray death of unfulfilled promise. You have to choose to be the anomaly. You have to choose to be the glitch in the matrix. You have to choose to be the one who got away. The addiction is strong. The gravity of the tribe is heavy. The voice in your head is screaming at you to stay safe, stay small, stay quiet. Tell that voice to shut up. The cage door is open. It has been open the whole time. The only thing keeping you inside is your hand gripping the bars. Let go. Walk out. And never, ever look back.